You can probably think of a time that you cried out to God while hugging a toilet, but most moments of explosive genius aren't typically found while perched upon a porcelain throne. Unless, of course, you're a bankrupt tennis coach named Serge Benhayon, who received a doo-doo download of a lifetime to launch the shittiest cult in Australia known as Universal Medicine.
The whole thing is just based on stuff that's made up that Serge apparently got impressed upon him when he was sitting on the toilet.
Just gave myself a time to sit and feel that moment, and I could feel something really, really beautiful.
Believe it or not, winning the lavatory lotto isn't the #1 or even the #2 hilariously horrible thing about this colossal shitstorm. It gets worse, like a lot worse. So without further ado, okay, that's bad. That was really bad. Let's take a deeper dive into the boiling hot geyser of spiritual garbage and figure out how this multi-million-dollar cult leader became filthy rich by being full of crap. I'm not joking when I say this is the most ridiculous cult I've ever researched. It sounds like a joke. I'm a little overwhelmed, if I'm being honest, because there's so much information. I kept finding out all of these crazy things, and every time I'd be like, there's no way. This is still going on. This cult is still active right now. It's almost like he's seeing how ridiculous he can be and get people to buy into just increasingly worse ideas and philosophies, which, by the way, he actually calls himself a philosopher. He compares himself to a lineage of philosophers. He also legitimately believes, or professes to believe, he is the reincarnation of Leonardo da Vinci. How dare he insult a Ninja Turtle? It's probably fair to say that most cult leaders, they think their shit doesn't stink. Like, we smell it though. It's pungent. It is wafting. Universal medicine sounds like it's a medical practice, but Serge Benhayon actually has approximately 0 qualifications. And by approximately, I mean exactly 0 qualifications, but the way that he presents his information to people is from a very medical standpoint. A lot of the prominent members in his group are physicians or are people in the medical field, which makes this type of cult, I think, even more dangerous because it adds a layer of credibility to the group. These doctors are involved. How could it be bad? Being any type of smart doesn't make you unsusceptible to mind control or convoluted thinking and beliefs. Anyone can be susceptible to undercover swindles, myself included. So thank God today's sponsor, Aura, has my back. Those of us here in the US were scammed out of $12.5 billion last year. Billion with a B, thanks to all kinds of online crimes and scams. Not to brag, but I've lived the identity theft nightmare twice in my life. Kind of embarrassing. But thanks to sweet baby Jesus and Aura, I don't have to worry about there being a third. Literally on day 1, Aura found 39 personal data leaks on the deep dark web. Obviously, I was already halfway to a full-fledged anxiety meltdown when I got a notification that basically said, we're already on it. So now I'm set up to get those fast fraud alerts if anyone tries to access my data, my credit, or heaven forbid, my freaking bank account again. And they also removed my info from a dozen data broker websites, so I'm getting a lot less spam. Can I get an amen? I'm vulnerable about a lot of things, but being vulnerable to another data leak, it's not one of them. So if you want to protect yourself and support the Lord's work that we do on the channel, head over to aura.com/cultureshock and try your first 2 weeks for free. And it's also linked for you below in the description. None of the classes or practices that he promotes and teaches to people are actually based in anything scientific. He just spews bullshit.
Well, there is a science to it. It's just not a conventional science.
Fundamentally, he denies completely that there could be germs that could cause disease, genetic factors that could cause disease.
Of course, he's got to put a creepy spin on it. I always say that. There's always some weird fucking sex thing with these cults. One of the things that was really red flagged is what he calls esoteric breast massage.
He had about 60 people in this room on treatment tables, and he'd closed all the curtains so that it was completely dark. Serge decided that he should read my ovaries. I was pretty unimpressed. He did put his hands on my lower abdomen, just above the pubic area.
He started a cult to cop a feel. There have been some legal outcomes or consequences of that. Universal Medicine was found to be a cult with some potentially harmful and sinister elements, and I would say amen and God bless to that. So some of his signature healing treatments outside of the breast massage, some weird things called ovarian readings and chakra punctures, which sounds painful and uncomfortable, and I don't know what that is, but I don't want to know more about what it is, and I certainly never want it performed on me.
A man who went along to one of their group sessions claims he felt a follower playing about near his rear end. When asked why, the follower said that he had been pulling out a bad energy snake out of his anus.
Classic cult leader. He's just taking medical words and putting the word esoteric in front of it. And then people are like, oh my God. I can't do an Australian accent. I don't know what that was. Not Australian. He calls himself an ascended master. If anyone ever calls themselves an ascended master, stop, drop, and roll the hell out of there. Y'all remember the Demon Slayer cult I covered? He called himself an ascended master. Remember Twin Flames Universe? He called himself an ascended master. Like, there's a pattern here. He just be making shit up. Just making shit up. So Benhayon has 4 children, and one of his daughters is like really involved in universal medicine. Her name's Natalie. And boy, oh boy, is Natalie something else. I cannot wait to show you the music video. You will want to crawl inside your own body and shit yourself out of your own ass because it's so cringy. But he also believes his other daughter, Simone, is the reincarnation of Winston Churchill, which is a choice. They all believe that the things that come to you in life, the good, the bad, the ugly, are a direct result of your karma. And any disease is a result of things that you did in a past life. It's up to you to correct all of that in this life. Super, super, super victim blamey. According to Serge, did I call him Sarge earlier? I might have called him Sarge. He believes that there are 2 types of energy in the world. One is called prana and the other one is fire. Where he got this, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing maybe his asshole was on fire when he was on that toilet. I don't, just spitballing here, just riffing. Apparently prana is like the evil, and that type of energy can be found in everything. Foods you eat to the music you listen to, that has the prana energy. And so you need to purge that out of you. Of course, there's going to be some food control in this because every good cult needs to control what you eat.
Some foods that are not designed to be eaten.
He'll say things like, can anybody who eats dairy products or chocolate really love you? And he said, carrots are as bad as heroin. 10-month-old baby was admitted to hospital, to the emergency room, nearly dead due to near starvation. And the parents were very close adherents of universal medicine.
Of course they sell the answers, creams and products and elixirs and everything your parents warned you about. One of the more disturbing things to me about many of his beliefs is the one about how shitty people, dictators, people who abuse power in past lives, how those people are reborn as people with Down syndrome, autism, any type of disability.
Serge said that children living with disabilities or who have been sexually assaulted are being punished for their errors in a previous life, that they might be the reincarnations of corrupt politicians or evil dictators.
Gets me unpopular, these things, but I have to say it anyway. If you have been sexually abused, then you have been an abuser.
All autistic people are incarnates of former authority abuse and powerful abuse over others, as are Down syndrome, as are spastic or any other disabled child.
As someone diagnosed with autism, what dictator was I though? He's also said things like if the child is sexually abused, they agreed to that before they came into this lifetime as a way to make up for past shit. There's not really any roots in a biblical principle or ideology because it's supposed to be like medical, esoteric healing and energy and prana and what the fuck ever. How they justify some of the toxicity and the abuse that they're doing is interesting to me. He has gotten creative. Creative is giving him a lot of credit, but he's found workarounds when it comes to presenting this type of belief in a medical fashion. But essentially, I think he just recruits medically trained people to basically present that information in a way that maybe flies over people's heads. That like the regular lay person, the average lay person wouldn't necessarily understand a lot of the medical things, right? That's a problem in healthcare anyways, understanding all of the medical jargon and terminology from doctors. But he uses that to his advantage.
You can see on stage, this is an occupational therapist and that's a speech therapist.
Fabic psychologists appear in promotional videos for universal medicine and appear to use a form of therapy with no evidence base, according to medical specialist Dr. Sue Urachi.
Universal medicine model and Benhayon's models have been very influential on the providers in this for Beat Clinic. It's definitely stated on the clinic website that 2 provisionally registered psychologists are using this unvalidated method in their therapy. They don't seem to be hiding that in any way.
Fabic therapists also practice out of Universal Medicine's multi-million-dollar Brisbane headquarters.
Direct quote, "Evil does not exist. It exists only when it is expressed in thought form or in action or both. For example, a murder or rape is seen and judged as evil, but what if these were acts of another law gone wrong and hence are in fact not evil acts at all? In the case of rape or murder, the true evil is what created the original imbalance to the harmonious law of brotherhood. God is love. If you know you are a son of God, then you are not capable of any evil." What? There shouldn't have been a dictator. I fucking knew it. All of this broken down, a murderer or a rapist is actually not the evil one. It's the victim who did something previously that was evil to then bring the evilness forward in this life as a karmic payout. I think I kind of ate on that. So he thinks certain very particular things are evil. Dairy and emotions. Men will do anything but go to therapy. Am I right? I also believe dairy is evil, being lactose intolerant. And I think maybe that's why he was on the toilet in the first place. That has to be it, right? The man had like IBS or something. Benhayon teaches people that essentially if you sin by not living this puristic, esoterical lifestyle, then you will pay for that sin through things like cancer. You're seeing the pattern here. He also suggests that murder victims bring it on themselves by quote unquote being in that position. I don't know how he goes to bed at night. Back on the sex thing, of course we would have to go back to that. He for sure never took a sex ed class. I'm really unclear. Well, he has 4 kids. I don't think he knows much about sex outside of that. He reportedly teaches people that when a man orgasms inside a woman, she will take on his bad energy.
These entities will leave your body and rape the women in your household.
For example, if I had an entity that was sexually, it could, while I sleep at night, and it leaves me at night, and it goes and rapes my daughters while I sleep.
Rape his daughters. He actually believes that. He's a little braggadocious on this one, okay? He's trying to flex a little too hard, claiming he had the ability to orgasm like a woman and ejaculate as a man simultaneously.
I orgasm like a woman every time I orgasm, as much as I do as a man, and often more as a woman.
I'm just built different, guys. You wouldn't get it. This one really pisses me off. So they have a course called Deeper Femaleness. They claim that it's a quote unquote great recovery for rape victims. It's deplorable because it involves physically touching inappropriate areas. Mind you, he's not qualified, and anyone who's qualified should not be doing that anyway. But it's basically a hands-on esoteric massage healing thing that involves manipulation of the pelvic and pubic bone, I believe. And in their actual publications, it demonstrates these exercises, massages, whatever you want to call them, as being performed by men. Current members have come out and said like, oh, they're only done by women, but it's showing men. These people are liars anyway. They just be making shit up. So who fucking knows on that one? What I do know is that no one's going to recover from a rape from something this counterintuitive and this unqualified and unprofessional and invasive. We've established that he's gross, okay? We've established that. But he's also racist. Are we shocked? He said when it comes to race that the skincare evolution was a quote-unquote conscious choice, and that yellow skin symbolizes intellect, but being black or dark-skinned is aligned with darkness and, yeah, evil. Of course. And all of this is allegedly. Well, actually, you know what? Not all of it's alleged because some of it's actually been proven in the court of law. This group has a mega history of running smear campaigns on journalists for speaking out against this. Like people who were in it left and told the truth. Their lives have been ruined, including this one particular lady named Esther. It's because of her that they were even convicted in the court of law as being this shady, scummy cult and doing these shady, scummy practices. If they come for me, don't punish me in this life. I was already a dictator in my last one. I don't need a smear campaign. I'm good. Okay. Pause. Let's go back to the breast massage thing because there's a few things I forgot. ADHD. It's bad today, folks. But they promote that they can cure breast cancer. No one's actually been cured of breast cancer. In fact, people have died by not seeking other treatment and relying on him to cure their breast cancer. Breast massages are essentially to purge the negative male energy from one's body. Girl, sign me up. I'm just wondering if we could find maybe like a less invasive way to do that. I don't need another man touching me. Feels a little counterintuitive if I'm being honest. Direct mother effing quote. The breasts are emanators of a quality of divine truth that begins at the heart. The heart, in connection to the pubic bone chakra, which is aligned to the ovaries, brings the emanation of nurturing out for all to have. I don't know what I just read. It can also cure polycystic ovaries, endometriosis, painful periods, all of the good stuff. I can't even think of something funny or clever to say right now. How is this not a movie? So the main whistleblower in all of this, balls of motherfucking steel. Not to pick sides, I'm picking sides. Esther's a bad bitch. Benhayon, of course, tried to sue her. Lost, but it's very expensive to be sued. It actually ruined her life in the sense of financially, she lost everything.
Universal Medicine has a number of professionals inside the group, including lawyers. And they're prepared to use those people to advance their interests. They didn't like me making allegations that Universal Medicine was a cult.
Last year, a New South Wales Supreme Court jury found Mr. Benhayon was a sexually manipulative charlatan with an indecent interest in young children.
For every giant ball of steel that Esther Rockett possesses, there's an equal-sized ball of audacity that Benhayon possesses. Balls, audacity, equal. You got it. This fucking guy claimed that how she portrayed him made him feel quote-unquote raped. The audacity was super thick in the air that day. What a performer this guy is. He told the court there were entities in the courtroom. Do y'all hear my stomach? I haven't eaten all day. I'm so fucking hungry. Okay. The spirits that they could sense in the courtroom apparently were over 9 feet tall and had a crevasse where their nose should have been. So he's describing Voldemort. Am I right? Okay. So Voldemort was in the courtroom when they do these conferences and courses and demonstrate these massages. The person he's demonstrating on are not adults. He also has young girls stay at his house unaccompanied. Don't ever fucking do that. Do I even have to say that? I feel like I need to purge my palate. A mother actually lost custody of her daughter because she refused to stop being involved with this cult. And a judge literally ordered that she needed to separate herself from the group or risk losing her daughter. And so she lost custody, which good on the judge for holding to that. We need to talk about the swindling of the money from dying cancer patients. Okay, so there was this woman named Judith who was dying of breast cancer. This woman gave up medical treatment to be part of this group, thinking it was her fault she had the cancer in the first place. And she even did promotional videos in her hospital bed.
I've got very little time. And the truth is, I feel excited.
Judith McIntyre. In the end, she left Serge around 1.4 million Australian dollars. That was the majority of her estate. So this was a case of these followers literally choosing Serge over their children.
According to Universal Medicine, if parents leave money to their kids, both they and their children will suffer.
He literally teaches mishandling of inheritance by your children could result in bad karma in the next life. Universal Medicine is not technically listed as a charity organization to my knowledge. They do receive thousands of dollars in what they call NDIS funds. The National Disability Insurance Agency. Okay, hold on. Let me break this down. You are the National Disability Insurance Agency. You're giving funds to a group that teaches that being disabled, having a disability, is a direct result of you being a shitty person in a past life or a dictator. It's not even therapy. I think there's psychologists and therapists that work at Unimed or whatever. They're not practicing what they were trained for. That's the difference. I want to just that's what I want to do right now. There's some weird shit going on with this family. Okay. But Serge and Miranda, his current wife, met when he was her tennis coach.
One of the girls that stayed in Serge Benhayon's house was Miranda Smith, and she moved into his home. She was a tennis pupil. She met him when she was 13. She moved in when she was around 14 and lived with him pretty much full time for a few years. She's now married to Serge.
Clearly, he was like grooming her from a teenager. I'm blinded by how red that flag is. A lot of cults are like super patriarchal and lift the men up. Of course, there's a man at the top of this because he's benefiting from this fake kind of like building up of women. He has like this weird relationship with his daughter, who is apparently like this sex symbol in the group. And I try not to judge, but someone in his family wrote this song about women. Natalie directed and produced the music video for this.
It's a song that represents women across the world. Lack of confidence, lack of self-worth. Why did Natalie pick me to be in this shot?
There is undeniable beauty in all, even though we might not show. Amazing, I am all this love that I am. So I celebrate my beauty, celebrating all the wonders of the woman I am. With you, all the wonders of the woman I am.
My retinas, actually, they still hurt. This seared them like a well-done steak. I don't even know what to do with that. I don't really know where that fits in with everything. I just needed to share it because it thoroughly traumatized me. These cults just like capitalize off of other people's demise, literally while they're dying. The grifting is next level with this guy. Trust me, if you dig into this, you're gonna find some nuggets. They're gonna be shit nuggets, but you're gonna find some nuggets. What I cover here is everything cults, crime, and crooked culture. So if that's your type of thing, definitely consider hitting subscribe or join my Patreon. Those are all great ways that you can help support the content that I do here. And I appreciate you guys so much. At the end of the day, just live, laugh, and leave a cult. Down syndrome? Like, are you kidding me? Those are the nicest fucking people on the planet, you piece of shit. Is how I feel about that. Okay guys, did you know that circumcision is needed for the esoteric light?